In lesson 2, we will explain why we are linguistically submissive. As you know, being linguistically submissive means not using our own language, even in situations in which we can be understood by the other speakers, or when we don't even know if we are in front of a speaker of our own language. The short explanation would be that we feel uncomfortable speaking our own minoritized language. Then, in order to reduce this uncomfortability, we switch into the dominant language. But with that, we are contributing to increase the condition of abnormality of our language, which in the long term will increase the sense of uncomfortability because we will be doing something which is really rare, not frequent, and not considered normal. So, as a short summary of how do we learn linguistic submissiveness, we could say that we learn it by modeling, imitation, observational learning, which is the most common form of learning for humans and for all primates. We learn it from our families, parents, uh, which switch languages whenever they find a dominant language speaker. We learn it at school as well, and we learn it from social media and mass media, in which that's the most frequent behavior we can observe. Then we also complementarily learn it by conditioning, meaning experiencing ourselves the consequences of doing that. We'll get into that a little later. And it is like complemented or reinforced by several prejudices, among which the most well known or prevalent might be the idea of cosmopolitanism, meaning there are universal languages and others which are just local, and the idea of education of or manners, good manners, applied to the fact that you have to switch into the dominant language, which doesn't apply in the other way around. Well, basically, what we have to know is that when a behavior is reinforced, uh, it tends to occur with a higher frequency in the future, whilst when a behavior is punished, it tends to reduce the frequency of appearance. There are thousands of examples. The ones you've got on the screen are pretty easy. That's the way you train dogs to do what you want them to do, and that's also the way you train dogs and kids and other people not to do what you consider is not uh, acceptable to do. Mm, historically, using the minoritized languages has been punished in several ways, sometimes very harsh, but not necessarily. Uh, just being unfairly considered or judged or being disregarded are punishments strong enough to reduce the probability of repeating this behavior in the future, while using the dominant language has been systematically reinforced by just getting the kind of attention that we want, or as we have seen, avoiding the discomfort. Well, the condition of double punishment means that in a situation in which there are two alternatives, both of them will lead to punishment. So that's what happens many times with speakers of a minoritized language. If you stick to your language, then the risk is, first of all, the danger of not being understood or receiving a message saying you are not being understood, or even being punished, reprimanded because of your speaking your own language. while switching to dominant language might produce also a sensation of discomfort because you're giving up an opportunity to use your own language. So here we have a case in which the two alternatives are lead to punishment, and then it's a learned helplessness situation. Learned helplessness has been shown to have quite a few adverse consequences in human beings, among them submission or submissiveness, but also memory disorders, less capacity to recognize control, or decrease of motivation. Learned helplessness has usually been explained with this image of an elephant. When the elephant is just a baby, you can tie it to a weak stake with a tiny rope, for example, and then it's not able to get out of that. When the elephant is big, it would break down everything with a very little effort. But since it has learned helplessness, it doesn't even try. And that's the important thing. Even when the conditions have changed, people and animals who have learned helplessness will not try to overcome the situation. And then they become submissive, even when there is no need to be submissive at all. Can it be unlearned? Of course it can, because it is a behavior, and behaviors can be modified, and habits can be changed. So by learning or relearning strategies that increase our ability to deal with the kind of situations that minoritized speakers deal with on a daily basis, we can break down learned helplessness and evolve towards a more assertive type of behavior. We all know that it can be stressful because when we try to speak our own languages in several situations, we have experienced and we have learned by the different ways I have just explained that these can lead to adverse consequences. So the main reason why we experience an extra stress is that all the pressure is on us, meaning if the other one, if our partner declares themselves unable to speak our language or even to understand our language, since we are competent in both languages, or minoritized language and the dominant one, then all the pressure is on us. And then again, we somehow know that if the situation gets worse and we don't agree, and for example we call the police or someone else intervenes, then probably the weakest position is ours. So this combination, knowing that we are in the weakest position and feeling that all the pressure is on us, is what explains clearly why we feel extra stressed in this kind of situations. So why should we insist on speaking our own language, even if it can be uncomfortable and it's overloading us with an extra stress? Well, when we switch into dominant language, we are sending several messages to the different individuals with which we are interacting, or with, who are observing our interaction. Basically, what we are saying is our language is not important, is not necessarily necessary, is not worth it. We are negatively modeling other ML speakers, and even I would say to ourselves, we are sending a quite submissive message, like saying, I just obey others. And of course, we are not contributing to increase the social presence of our language. So objectively we are reducing the social usage of our minority language. While on the other hand, if we hold our language, then we are conveying quite positive messages. For example, to newcomers, we are saying our language is also yours or can be also yours. We are making it necessary. We are saying it is a worthy language. We are not disqualifying those trying to learn it by switching into the dominant language, but we are saying them, okay, you're starting to learn that, and you're good enough to do this. And of course, we are positively modeling the behavior of other minority speakers, and to us, we are sending a more positive message, such as I do what I want, and we are contributing to increase the social presence and visibility of our language. In summary, behavior can always be analyzed too. See you all in lesson number 3.